So with the pandemic, the world changed because previously we all went to school in classrooms, we all went to university in classrooms, and often we went to work in offices or factories. That's how the world has worked for 120, 150 years. And actually, it kind of worked, but there were a lot of negatives to it. The negatives included commitments, childcare, basically getting to work, commute, but then you've got the carbon emissions of all that, you've got the cost of all of that, lack of flexibility, and there was all these different things. So the pandemic hits in 2020. I always get confused because it's COVID-19, but the pandemic hits in 2020. We obviously, most of the world locks down. We get used to that, and it actually was a really weird 2 years where you had to stay in your household bubble here in the UK. So you could only see some people, you couldn't see your family, and therefore you had to almost work remotely and just kind of get through. But it was a weird period. I think there'll be a period of kind of people starting to self-adjust and trying to figure out how it's impacted them. And I still kind of feel it now. Anyway, as you went through 2022, and it was kind of June last year, at least in the UK, we started to open up again. Restrictions on flights dropped, and what I'd say is people start to get back to normal. And one of the common assumptions for a lot of different workplaces, especially professional related workplaces where you have the potential to work from home, often people went into like a hybrid model where essentially you might work from home 3 days a week, come into the office 2 days a week, where actually you have more face-to-face interaction with your team, certainly more than you had during the pandemic, but you still retain some of the benefits of working from home, that you get all the extra flexibility and lack of travel costs and that kind of thing. I think as we move forward, the issue is human nature. We always go back to what we know, and you will have a lot of businesses around the world that have expensive offices and stuff that they've invested in, or that they just genuinely believe that it's better to have people together, to collaborate together, work on different stuff together. And what they're trying to do is encourage people to get back to work. But what's interesting, and there was an article which I think was on Forbes this week, there was a lady that had a remote working contract. She actually bought a house 1,000 miles away from where her office is. And then the firm has changed their mind and basically said, look, we want you to now come into the office. And this won't be a one-off case. There will be thousands, if not millions of these cases where actually people have kind of got used to working from home. They probably quite like it. I think a lot of people like the mix. So you like a mix of both. But actually it's just the question of, has working from home now died? Or how do we as a society kind of find the right fit? The other thing as well is that you have new initiatives like the 4-day work week, which people are trying to bring in. And can you be as productive in 4 days as you traditionally were in 5 to give you more time off? But the caveat, and why I think this kind of falls down for the firms that I know that are starting to bring it in, they're just asking you to work more hours in a shorter time to do the same amount of productivity and work. That in theory, you're just going to burn out harder, faster, worse in those 4 days, not in the 5. And I'm just not sure about how this is all kind of play out. But it was just from an employer's point of view, from when we employ kind of people as well. There are lots of benefits to actually employ people and have that day-to-day interaction. So I'm an engineer. I work with firms that make manufactured goods, that when you make a physical product, often you need to go and check it and measure it and speak to the team and have meetings and do lots of stuff. But there's an element of where you actually have to go and physically inspect stuff and see what's made and get rid of stuff. And actually, the other side to it as well, especially for white collar jobs. If you work in a business where there is a blue collar element, so basically you have an actual production line or workforce who makes stuff, there's still an element that they still need leadership. So actually you can't really have a business that doesn't have leadership, and it's a really difficult one to try and decide what's appropriate for different industries. Where I genuinely think that this is going to go is that you have some people, and actually I guess I fall into this, that I love working with people. I see the benefits of being able to work from home, but it's that kind of 80-20, where basically 80% of the time is working with people, getting the most out of it, because it's all of the little chats over coffee and actually just asking people and picking up the phone, I think creates a better workplace, but it's actually more productive. But the point is, I think you're going to get people that actually appreciate that. And people that appreciate that work offer will probably gravitate towards firms and jobs that do that route. I think you're also going to get people that want the opposite. So they want 80% or 100% at home. And I think what you're going to find is at the moment you will have people that want to work from home, but they're contracted in to a job that now wants them to go back to the office. And I think they will end up just quitting that job and going to a different job back in the office or whatever it is. But the point is, I think we'll just split into two different camps of different things, because you're never going to be able to keep everyone happy. But I also think that now, as the world starts to go back to normal, a lot more firms will want people to go back to the office, because it's up to the leadership about how you get to react to people and build a strong relationship. And I actually do think that is better in person. But you're just going to have this split. But I'd love to know for yourself, do you work from home? Do you work in office? What do you prefer? Do you like a mix? And actually, I'd love to know the benefits that you have kind of found through working from home as well. And actually, just does that work for you? And also, what do you think is the future of work? Because essentially, if you are a leader in a business, you kind of get to decide what people do and what your team should do. And actually, there are no obvious right or wrong answers. But it would be really interesting just to hear your views and opinions. If you catch this on YouTube, please kind of like and subscribe. So my name's Steve, and we cover a lot of business and entrepreneurship type stuff on this channel.